All right, this is third video in series of creating our robot. This is our drive pod. When we last left off, we inserted the axle in, and you'll notice that it's messed up. And I did this on purpose to kind of show you how we can fix this. So you obviously can't have your wheel going right through the metal just like it is there, but we can easily fix this because we've got these as assemblies. If I go back and I adjust my wheel assembly, so instead of having it directly centered on the axle, if I move it to one side or the other, then it'll adjust it in the part there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my last joint, double click on it to open it up. I'm going to check my offsets, and what I am going to do is offset this. Let's go here. Let's try 30 millimeters and see what we get with that. And we're going to offset that. Oh, that's offset too far with it. So we want to go a little bit less. Let's go 25 millimeters. Let's see what we got here. Still not enough. Let's go 20 millimeters. There you go. So now it's coming out of there like it should be. We're going to check this. So now I've got my axle sitting right at the end. Now watch what happens. So I adjusted my wheel assembly here. I'll go back to my drive pod. And, oh, I went the wrong direction. So it went too close this way. So what I want to do is I want to put it to the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here. I'm going to adjust this again, but instead of doing 20, I'm going to go negative 20. So it's going the other way. And let's see here. Go back to my drive pod. That's still a little close. We got to go just a little bit more. So let's go negative 25. There we go. And we'll go back to our drive pod. And we need just a little bit more. It might be that 30. Let's do that to make sure we get it. But so what we can do here is as we're making these changes, negative 30 millimeters. There it is. That's right. Right to the edge of it. There we go. So now we've got our wheel is set up right where we need it to be. Obviously on this end one, we would put on our shaft collar or our rubber shaft collar for it. So we're going to go ahead and insert that piece in here. Go look at our other documents. We're going to come in here and look at our VEX V5 parts. Here's our collars, and see here, we can do we'll do a rubber shaft collar just to put it in here, make it nice and easy. So I'm going to put this shaft collar in here. I'm going to green checkbox, so we've got it. I'm going to rotate this so it gets kind of on its side so it looks like it's supposed to. Then, just like we did before, we're going to do the mating of it. So I'm going to make a fasten mate. I'm going to come right in here and I'm going to fasten this on. We'll do this center part here is going to go right onto here. Right onto there, and then look at that, it fits perfectly how we've got it. So I don't have to do any adjustments. There it is. I've got my shaft collar on there. Okay. Now we've got our shaft collar on here. We can add in. So we're going to make the rest of our wheel pod. So we're going to do two of those hex nuts at the front and put our wheel assembly in again. So what I am going to do here is I'm going to go into my insert. I'm going to find my under our V5 screws and nuts is where you're going to find those one post hex worth of bearing flat. So we're going to put that in. We'll put that in. Let's get this. it is. There's one. And there's the other one. All right, and so now what we can do with this is I'm going to we're going to take this and I'm going to put them in. So we'll put our front wheel right here close to the end. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do my fasten mate. Put these on the inside, so I'm going to fasten my mate. I'm going to come to the inside here. I'm going to do the center of this hole. We're going to put this on the inside here. And what we want is I am going to go to, let's go to this one right here. It is, and that is set where it needs to be. So we've got it. So that center one is 1, 2, 3, 4 holes in. And so now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I am going to make a fasten mate. I'm going to zoom in here. Get to that center part. And I'm going to go in here. And I need to go right to there. And look at that. They are lined up perfectly. There it is. I've got them lined up perfectly. So then what I'm going to do is I'll put my nuts in there. So I'm going to bring in 2 of those nuts like we did before. So I will close this out. I'm going to go back into my insert. I'm going to do 2 of these hex nuts. And I'm also going to do, I like to do the colored screws, so I'm going to go in and do the Robosaurus. And we're going to do this with the yellow screws. And we're going to go ahead and we can set these up to make them happen. So I'm going to put this in here. So I'm going to do my fasten mate again. I'm going to do this right here, that center. And get right around underneath here. I'm going to do the center. There it is. So I've got that one locked in there. I'm going to do the exact same thing. So remember, it's all in what you are fastening. Let's move this over here some. So I'm going to check mark that. Move this over. All right, fasten mate. I'm going to do this top ring center. There it is. Ooh. Zoom in here. There it is. And then we just have to put our screws in. So same thing, I'm going to rotate under to get that. I get the shoulder that the end of the screw here, so I'm going to do a fasten mate. I like to do this back ring that's on the plate here, so I'm going to do that back ring, and that's going to go right here on the outside. Oh, we got mine. This. Put this. Go. And there's the one screw. Put this other screw on. So I'm going to fasten this mate again. I'm back to this outside edge. There it is. Rotate it around. It's going to go right here in this center part. There it is. So now we've got our screws put together. We've got our nuts on our hex nuts on the inside. We just have to put our last axle shaft in here. So we're going to close this out. I'm going to go in and insert in my wheel pod for the other one. So I'm going to go into insert from this current document, go to my assemblies. I'm going to put my wheel assembly in here, get it somewhat close, and then what we're going to do is I am going to add this wheel. I'm going to do a revolute mate again. I'm going to do an offset to get it to where I want it to be. I'm going to choose this end piece here. So this is how we're going to do this to get it to where we want. I'm going to get right to the end piece of it. And I'm going to put the end piece so that it goes right in. This one on the back. Let's get here. We get those. I'm going to go right to the center of that one there. So there's my axle shaft. Now the wheel will move with it. So once you get done, so sometimes you see how it looks like the wheel isn't moved with it. That's okay. We're going to move it with it. Let's move it 5 millimeters to offset that Z. Let's see here. I need a little bit more. Let's go 10. There it is. Then I'm going to solve it, and it will put the wheel on there for us as we've got it. Now, obviously, I'd want my wheels to be lined up. So I'm going to go back to this one. And let's get this one. We're going to offset this a little bit more. Let's offset it 20. There it is. My wheels are lined up. So now we have got one side of our drive pod. Now you can make separate wheels, different wheels. Now I would put my shaft collars on the end here, put shaft collar on either side. But now I have a complete drive pod. So if I go back here to my complete robot, I can take out, I'm going to delete this. I don't want this part, so I'm going to delete this. I can get rid of this assembly here. And what I can do is, if I didn't want this piece in here, I can get rid of it or hide it. And then what I can do is I can add in my drive pod. So I can go from this document and I can add in assemblies. I can add a drive pod in, and now I've got my complete drive pod. I can add 2 of these in. All right, I take this drive pod, rotate it, and I've got just going to start to put together our robot. So this is our completed drive pod, putting it into our robot assembly.